The year is 332 BCE. Alexander the Great is marching across the known world, conquering city after city. His army is powerful, disciplined, and unstoppable, but as he moves south along the coast of the Persian Empire, he encounters a challenge unlike any he's faced before, a city called Tyre. The Siege of Tyre in 332 BCE was a pivotal moment in Alexander the Great's campaign to conquer the Persian Empire. After his decisive victory at the Battle of Issus, Alexander set his sights on securing the eastern Mediterranean coast. His goal was twofold: to cut off Persian naval bases and ensure his control of the region before moving deeper into the empire's heartlands. Tyre, a powerful Phoenician city-state, stood as the most formidable obstacle to this plan. Initially, Alexander sought a peaceful solution. He sent envoys to Tyre, asking for permission to enter the city and offer sacrifices to its temple of Melkart, a deity closely associated with the Greek god Heracles. However, the Tyrians, loyal to Persia and wary of Alexander's ambitions, refused his request. Instead, they offered him access to their mainland settlements, but denied him entry to the island city. This rejection was a clear challenge to Alexander's authority, and he interpreted it as an act of defiance. Determined to bring Tyre under his control, Alexander resolved to take the city by force. However, the task ahead was daunting. Unlike other cities he had encountered, Tyre's location and defenses meant that a direct assault would be futile without careful planning and innovative tactics. The siege would test Alexander's ingenuity and persistence, becoming one of the most extraordinary episodes in his military career. Firstly, Alexander the Great decided to construct a massive causeway or mole to connect the mainland to the island of Tyre. This ambitious engineering project was necessary to bring his forces within striking distance of the city, which was located nearly half a mile offshore and protected by the sea. Alexander's engineers began by sinking large stones into the shallow waters near the coast, creating a foundation for the causeway. Over time, they layered timber, earth, and debris on top to form a stable pathway. The construction was a monumental effort requiring thousands of workers and significant resources, and as Arrian puts it in The Anabasis of Alexander, the work seemed impossible, but Alexander's determination knew no bounds. What nature had fortified, human ingenuity and perseverance overcame. Progress was slow and fraught with danger. Tyre's defenders, understanding the threat posed by the causeway, launched constant attacks to disrupt the work. Tyrian ships patrolled the waters, firing missiles and arrows at the workers. They also unleashed fire ships, vessels filled with flammable materials that they set ablaze and directed toward the causeway, hoping to ignite and destroy sections of it. These fiery assaults caused significant damage, forcing Alexander's engineers to rebuild portions of the structure repeatedly, and as historian Quintus Curtius Rufus puts it in the History of Alexander, the Tyrians, though faced with overwhelming odds, fought with all their might, defending their walls with courage and ingenious methods, but Alexander's persistence was as unyielding as the waves they thought would protect them. To protect the workers and the causeway, Alexander devised a countermeasure. He ordered the construction of large defensive towers on the causeway itself. These towers were equipped with catapults and manned by skilled archers who could fend off Tyrian ships and retaliate against their attacks. Despite these precautions, the Tyrians continued their resistance with remarkable ingenuity, employing their naval superiority to keep Alexander's forces at bay. The construction of the causeway became a slow and grueling process, with progress measured in mere feet over weeks. As the causeway neared the island, Alexander realized that this effort alone would not be sufficient to capture Tyre. The city's towering walls, rising directly out of the sea, were nearly impervious to a simple land assault. Recognizing the limitations of his strategy, Alexander understood that naval superiority was essential to completing the siege. To address this, Alexander called upon his allies for reinforcements. Ships from Sidon, Cyprus, and other Phoenician cities that had already surrendered to him joined his cause. This newly assembled fleet gave Alexander control of the surrounding waters, effectively neutralizing Tyre's naval advantage. With the Tyrian supply lines cut off and their ability to harass the causeway diminished, Alexander could now direct his full attention to breaching the city's formidable defenses. With his navy in place, Alexander introduced a variety of siege engines to the battlefield. Massive battering rams mounted on ships were used to assault Tyre's walls directly. These rams, driven by the force of the waves and the manpower of Alexander's soldiers, pounded relentlessly against the city's fortifications. Meanwhile, catapults launched large stones and incendiary projectiles, aiming to weaken the walls and create gaps for his troops to exploit. Some of Alexander's ships were equipped with towers that allowed his soldiers to fire directly into the city, targeting Tyrian defenders on the walls and inflicting heavy casualties. The siege dragged on for 7 brutal months. Despite Alexander's relentless assault, Tyre's defenders refused to capitulate. The Tyrians demonstrated remarkable resilience, repairing their walls as quickly as they were damaged and launching counterattacks whenever possible. The conflict became a grueling war of attrition, testing the endurance and ingenuity of both sides. Finally, Alexander's persistence paid off. His siege engines breached a section of Tyre's walls, allowing his forces to storm the city. The final assault was swift and devastating. Alexander's soldiers poured into Tyre, overwhelming the defenders in fierce hand-to-hand combat. The battle turned into a massacre as the Macedonian army exacted revenge for the months of resistance. Thousands of Tyrians were killed, and the survivors were either enslaved or executed. The city, once a thriving hub of trade and culture, was left in ruins. Alexander's victory at Tyre was a turning point. It showed the world that nothing could stand in his way, not even an island fortress with one of the strongest navies of the time. But the siege also revealed the costs of war. Tyre was left devastated, and its people paid a terrible price for resisting Alexander. In the end, the Siege of Tyre wasn't just a military triumph, it was a statement. Alexander had proven his determination, his ingenuity, and his willingness to do whatever it took to achieve his goals. It was a reminder to the rest of the Persian Empire that resistance was futile and that Alexander the Great was unstoppable, and as Plutarch once put it in his The Life of Alexander, the Siege of Tyre was not merely a conquest, it was a statement to the world that Alexander's ambition could breach any wall, no matter how high, and overcome any obstacle, no matter how daunting. And with that, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want to learn more about incredible moments in ancient history, don't forget to like and subscribe.